Hello. Hello. Hello everyone. Today we all are here for the assessment of listening skill. Just as a part of language learning, assessment of listening skill is more important. So for going through it, we have some more session aims with us. All of first we will see the assessment of listening. What is meant by the assessment of listening actually? We must know the sub skills of listening skill. Then after we we will see the factors to consider while assessing the listening skill of our learners. Just as playing a part of role of the assessor, we must know what should we do and what not. So here we will be through the role of assessor too. Some more point we have to be attentive about. So we'll discuss it with the tasks and activities, and also have mentioned the situation which would be the preferable for the assessment of our listening skill. So I hope you all will be fine with all those sessions and we'll discuss it well. If you have any queries, if you have any questions, or if you have new sharings with us, then please try to have the comment box and you can comment yourself. You can share your thoughts too with us. So all of first I would like to have the first slide, and that is the introducing the language assessment. What are the language assessment, and out of those आज हमको डिस्कस करना है the assessment of listening skill. So all of first, what is meant by the assessment of listening? Assessment of listening means to identify the listening comprehension of our learners. Are they perfect? Are they possessing the abilities to listen properly, to get the clear ideas, to get the information through the listening? Are they comprehending the knowledge or the data interpersonally? Are they comprehending the instructional? Are they assessing the listening the instructional way? And for the academic purposes too, we can assess our learners' language. So for the assessment of listening, we must know the difference between hearing and listening. My friend, hearing means also the aikane and listening means also the aikane, but there's some little bit difference in listening and hearing. I think both points, the listening and hearing too, are clear to you also, because they are familiar. The both words and the concepts are familiar to us. So I would like to have the greater discussion over the hearing and listening to. If you would like to share what is meant by the hearing or what is meant by the listening, then please try to have yourself with the comment box and please try to write what is meant by the hearing and what is meant by the listening to. My friends, there is not a huge difference. Both are the processes to have the sounds from outside or from our surrounding. But if it's not intentionally, then it would be the hearing. If unexpected and if unintentionally, unpurposefully, purposely sounds would be falling to our ears. So that would be the hearing. And what is meant by the listening? The sound which we listen, the sound which falls on our ears intentionally, the sound which we try to receive from others, if we have some more intention, if we have to acquiesce something from the other speech, other speaking, if we have, or if we are conscious about the other's thoughts, if it is intentional, if we are attentive about the other's thought or the sharing data, if it is purposeful, and if we are listening that matter with the more concentration, then that would be the listening. My friends, I'm sure now you are more clear about the what is meant by the listening, or what is the actual word listening for. So if you have anything new, then please try to comment yourself in our comment box, and we will try to have more discussion or the assessment of listening skill. So what is meant by the listening? So listening is the vital skill of language learning, but it is too much challenging to assess. There are more problems and many challenges over there how to assess the listening skill. So once again, don't be think more, because we have some more solutions. So please try to have yourself with the skills or the keys to, we have some more keys to discuss how to assess the listening skill of our learners. So my all assessors and my all teachers, I request you try to have the factors to consider. What factors we must consider while assessing the listening skill of our learners? How to identify the learner's comprehension through the listening skill? So for that, all of first we have to consider the first factor, and that is the available surrounding. Is it proper for them? Or are there any hindrances for assessing their listening skill? So surrounding would be more important. So next, I would like to have the assessor and its objectives. We will consider and we will discuss it later what is meant by the assessor, who will be the assessor, who would be the assessor, and his objectives with his role too. We must consider, now we are on third point, that is the age group and the level of the learners. We can't forget the age group and the level of the learners. We have to provide them opportunities for listening as per their age group, as per their level and the ability of learners. We are sure about that. One cannot forget the ability of our listeners, ability of learners, because but if we will understand, if we know the ability well, then 101% we can't leave in between for the chasing the target or to chasing the achievement of our learner success. So the age group and the level of learners should play more and more important. Kind and the quality of information we must use, quality and the valid equipment we must have, appropriate and accurately scored, and for that we will see later the rubric sheet for it, clarifying the instructional and the possible interactions too. So such factors we must consider while assessing our learners. Now with our learners. My friends, you can not only this, but we can find some more keys, more factors to consider as per our expectations, as per the need. So try to add some more factors to it, which we have to consider while assessment of our learners, while assessing the listening skill. Now, the sub skills can be assessed by. What are the sub skills of language? The skill can be assessed, the listening skill can be assessed by giving them some specific information. We can ask them for the general comprehension, listening for the pleasure. It would be the intensive listening, listening for the predictions, or recognizing the issues, or for the practicing focus too. Why it would be for the practicing purpose? We must know the best and the better and the best practices of listening skill, because we can't learn the language. We can't learn the language without practicing the listening skill, because it's the first stage of learning language. So having those sub skills, we will be more clear with the assessment of listening skill. So just as a main role of that thing, the assessor, we have to assess the first skill of language learning, and that is the listening. So we must be perfect. Oh, sorry. Who we? There we must be, or there we will be, the assessor. Listening skill would be assessed by a person, or a person who is assigned for assessing the skill of that language. This person will be known as an assessor. He is the assessor. So who would be the assessor of the assessment of listening skill? Who can play the role of assessor? So my friend, I'm sure that you are also know, and you are also more clear with that, who can play or who will be the assessor for the assessment of listening skill. So please try to use your comment box, and please try to write who can play the best role of the assessor. There at the downward you can find there's a comment box. You can see there. I'm moving the cursor over there. Please try to have your comments there. So who would be the assessor? Just as far as we are concerning with the classroom situations, so we can't forget, yes, surely the teacher can play the role of assessor. He would be the examiner. He would be the interlocutor. So yes, the teacher also can play the best role of the assessor for the listening skill. So for this, if a teacher from the classroom has to play the role of assessor, so we must know, or the teacher must know, what are the roles of the assessor, what we have to do, what are our expectations, what stages we have to follow, and which keys or which level we have to achieve, or which steps we have to move forward for having the better conclusion of our assessment. For drawing the better inferences, we have to understand the role of assessor. So all of first, I would like to discuss that the point must be attentive about the assessor must be attentive about the following points. They are size of the room, learner sitting arrangement, equipments and its quality that we are using over there in the assessment program. So as a equipments, we can use the radios, television, recorder, and the oral rendering too. Again, we have to consider the level or the age group of the learners. We have to clarify the instructions as far as with the possible interactions too. And if we are providing them the oral rendering for the listening input, so we must focus on the volume, the sound quality, the voice quality of the assessor or the equipments which he is using in the classroom. It must be clear, voice must be clear, volume must be clear, our pronunciation, enunciation, and we must speak with the intonation pattern too. We must focus on it too. My friends, just by considering the age group of our learners, we can't take that part in the pace. So pace is also important for playing the better role of assessor. Now here we have 3 phases for listening assessment. If we have to assess the listening skill of our listeners, so we have to follow 3 stages, or we have to conduct that much program in the 3 stages. We have to follow these 3 phases. So all of first, we have to focus pre-listening session. It means our duty or what we have to do in pre-listening session. Then we must consider that what we have to do, or what program we have, what stages we have to follow while listening, what type of it means what we can say, आपण काय काळजी घ्यायला पाहिजे, okay, while listening session, and then after the post listening too. प्री लिस्निंगचा जर आपण विचार करतोय तर आपल्याला तिथे काय केलं पाहिजे. समजा मला आता एक प्री लिस्निंगचं सेशन लावायचं आहे. सो ऑल ऑफ फर्स्ट माझ्याकडे इक्विपमेंट्स असायला पाहिजे. इफ आय एम युझिंग द पार्ट विथ द ओरल रेंडरिंग, देन माझ्याकडे ते मॅटर असायला पाहिजे. ते मॅटर माझ्या लर्नर्सला अप्रोप्रिएट आहे का ते पण मी डिस्कस करणार आहे, त्यावर पण मी विचार करणार आहे. आणि I must made my learners clear with what they have to do. It means with their role. I must try to clear their role and what they have to follow. It means I will make them more clear with the instructions too. So we should have chalk out it before for the free listening session. My friends, while listening, what should we do? We should focus the pace. We should focus the voice quality. We must have the clear pronunciation. We should have the intonation pattern. Again, these all would be in the do's. And if we have to discuss the don'ts for it, then we must comment the other things, or we must not comment about the such another things which are not the part of our assessment or the part of our listening program. So we must avoid such a things. Just finding the inferences of our listening assessment, we must find some more keys to have the post listening session too. That we must have the questionnaire, we must have the data, we must have the rubric sheet to assess or to measure the assessment of our learners. My friends, as we discussed that we have to follow or we have to conduct our the listening assessment with the help of these three phases: pre-listening session, while listening, and the post-listening. So while conducting those three phases, we can consider or we can consider the situations for the assessment. So we can assess the learner in the first situation, that is the one-to-one situation. It means only the assessor and the learner. We can discuss only about the learner or about yourself to the one-to-one method. Second one is the group discussion. We can ask someone to speak and we can ask someone to listen. So they can discuss. If someone will discuss, someone will speak, then the other will get a chance to listen. And an assessor who is monitoring that assessment situation, he will assess, he will try to find his conclusion from that situation. So one more situation of the assessing the listening skill, that is the eavesdropping, means the useless talking from the outside. But more than the eavesdropping, one-to-one method and the group discussion method will be more compatible for assessment of listening skill. So my friends, whenever you will try to conduct the listening assessment in your classroom, then please try to follow such situations, to try to consider those situations too. Now, what activities and the tasks we can consider to assess our listening skill of our learners? We can ask our learners to encircle the words. We can ask our learners to deduce the unknown words from the text. We can ask our learners to complete the given sentences, recognize the correct answers, identify the main ideas, and summarize through the speaking or the writing. So such tasks and activities help us to identify and to know some more about our learners comprehension of the listening assessment of our learners listening skill. So just we have used the three phases and we have discussed the situations and the task and activities for assessment of the listening skill. But for the measuring of listening skill, now it's a time to know how to create the rubric sheet for the measurement or for grading the assessment of our listeners. So I have taken over here the oral rendering. What's meant by the oral rendering? It means मी आता माझ्याकडे एक टेक्स्ट आहे आणि मी तो रीड करणार आहे आणि माझे लर्नर्स ते ऐकून लिहिणार आहे. इट मीन्स मी त्यांना डिक्टेट करतो आहे आणि जस्ट बाय लिसनिंग they have to write or just they are understanding, they are trying to comprehend that matter. So that would be the oral rendering. Okay, so for that I have taken there three criterias excellent or 3 satisfactory or 2 poor or 1. So while having the oral rendering session, I have taken that first key or the grading key for key for grading my learners, that deduce the new words. If the learner is deducing the new words within a second in a meantime, then uh, I can put him 3 over here. Okay, suppose just as a second key is there, that is recognize the correct tense. Suppose while having the rendering, I will ask them uh, about the tenses of that matter or the sentences which I have used or there in that uh, topic. So if my learners are clearly mentioning that, oh sir, this is a sentence of this simple past tense, and this is the tense, this is a sentence of simple present tense, and this is from simple present continuous tense. Okay, so once again I would like to have give him the 3 marks or the excellent mark of excellency. But if my learners are unable to get the 100% ideas from that matter, then as per your findings, you can put him in a poor section or in a satisfactory group. It means with the marks 2 also. Some of the learners can gather the some more information from their listening, but some are not. So if my learners are unable to gather any information, so try to put them with 1. Now our learners, if our some of the learners can sum up the whole para as it is with their findings and in their language, so we can put them with the 3. So my friends, such a type of rubric sheet we can ask or we can use for measuring our learners assessment, for grading, for rating their assessment, for their skill, and for their comprehension of the listening assessment or the listening skill. So once more I would like to have the next one, that is do's and don'ts. What should we do and what should we don't? So all of us in do's, I would like to discuss that first point, that is the instructor our learners properly. It would be the part of first, it means pre-listening session. Recording played twice, it would be in a while listening session. So recording played twice. If it is oral rendering, it must be also twice, just as per the ability of learners. Set of the questions, if they are from the first or the second standard, then try to play it for the 3 or the 2 or the 3 times 2. Okay, just in the post listening session, there's a set of question based on the listening input. So while having the set of questioning input, try to have it objective wise. Don't ask them to write it in detail, because we are not measuring their reading skill, we are trying to assess their listening skill. So please try to have a set of questions objective wise. Test consists of the 4 sections, and we just those we have discussed before, and please try to have or try to conduct all 4 sessions, and those all are the do's. And so, well, my friends, thanks for your great cooperation. And now I would like to switch the topic with, so thank you all of first that you gave me great cooperation for it. And if you have any queries, then we have the comment box. Please try to comment your reflections as well as your queries about the assessment of listening skill. So please try to put it over here, and then after you will get its in detail on the Tejas Ambassador group. So well, thank you.